So you need
Right.
to understand that the strategy which global company will go into India for an Indian
Mm-hmm.
project in India and
Right.
give you
Right.
against as a global partner, supplier, or competition. So those kind of the discussions, thought processes, you have to take care and also make sure that customer is not annoyed in terms of your reactions and actions.
Hello and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders by Directors Institute World Council of Directors, the podcast where we bring you insights from the most influential minds shaping industries today. I'm your host Charu Mehra, and today we have an extraordinary guest whose leadership has left a lasting impact across power, oil and gas, petrochemical, and the infrastructure sectors. Joining us today is Mr. Pradip Dhir, a visionary with over 36 years of experience who has spearheaded multi billion dollar projects, introduced game changing technologies, and built businesses from the ground up. With a global footprint spanning 100 plus countries and collaborations with 40 plus nationalities, he's a leader who doesn't just adapt to change, he drives it. Mr. Dheer, it's an absolute privilege to have you with us on FaceTime with Leaders today. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for the nice introduction, Charu. It's really my privilege to be there along with you on this interview. And I love to answer your questions going forward.
Yeah, and I'm looking for a fantastic discussion with you today.
Yeah, yeah. Please go ahead.
Right. So, Mr. Dheer, with a career as expansive and dynamic as yours, spanning 36 years, countless milestones, I can only imagine the incredible journey it has been. But if you had to tell the story of your career in your own words, from where it all began to where you stand today, how would you describe the road that you've traveled? What were the key moments that shaped you as a leader, sir?
Yeah, I had a very interesting journey to start after finishing my engineering degree from in 1988. I
Right.
started looking for an opportunity to work in and around Delhi because I
Mm-hmm.
belong to Delhi. So I
Right.
went for my engineering college in Karnataka, University of Karnataka, esteemed College
Mm-hmm.
of Engineering and Technology.
Right.
After completing there, I went around and found a job of myself. And we started working with a German company. They were
Mm-hmm.
manufacturing yarn cleaners and spicers for textile
Okay.
industry. At that
Mm-hmm.
point of time, this was a new technology coming in because we always
Right.
used to had a knot in our cloth, woven cloth. There was always a
Right.
knot, and we used to see that knot getting into a big hole during
Mm-hmm.
the usage of clothes and all that. So they brought that
Right.
technology from Germany. I
Mm-hmm.
developed that technology at a very age, and then I took that into international exhibition in Bombay in Vikhroli at Godrej. There was an international exhibition, and I sold yarn cleaners and spices for Stuber Germany company. So that was
Wow.
my start with a multinational company, though it was a small scale, but I moved on with from there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
after working for about close to 1 year, I moved on
Right.
to a company called Simco Birla. They were into
Mm-hmm.
textile and project division. I was put in project division, which was basically into oil and gas projects and fabricated items, uh,
Right.
vessels for oil and gas. I learned there oil and gas, and I was made responsible to go to a site
Mm-hmm.
at Gujarat State Fertilizer Company for a very small project, but very
Okay.
interesting project of 20 crores at that point of time.
Wow.
And,
Wow.
and uh, I was responsible for commissioning that project in about 20 days after erecting
Okay.
a large capital erecting plant there.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I moved to a big site, which was about 150 crores at that point of time, sulfur recovery
Wow.
unit, where the technology was coming from Netherlands, KTA Netherlands, and Simco had
Mm-hmm.
tied up. And I
Mm-hmm.
was responsible for doing the business of doing the site activities from civil till the commissioning of the plant.
Right.
I was there for about 3 years and I did
Mm-hmm.
that job. So my learning started from factory to site management and
Management.
to understand how the technology is being transferred in the ground reality. Capital
Right.
acquisition
Right.
plant and then sulfur recovery unit. at
Mm-hmm.
ONGC Hajira.
Okay. Okay.
So that was a Hajira gas processing plant of ONGC.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
First time I met across the ONGC officials where I understood, and I was also interacting with EIL, so I
Right.
understand the game between ONGC and EIL and how the projects are being executed in oil and gas
Mm-hmm.
sector. So
Right.
we then I moved back to a Delhi office on marketing stream where I started bidding the projects in this sector, and
Mm-hmm.
I made an N number of projects in oil and gas,
I'm
fertilizers,
sure. Right.
and created a lot of references for the company. Then
Mm-hmm.
I got an opportunity to move on to Larsen and Toubro in Mumbai,
Okay. Okay.
and I was responsible in the sales and marketing of power plants and cement
Mm-hmm.
plants, a business, an
Okay.
allied business.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I went in there, and
Mm-hmm.
it was not a big stint because I got a baby at that point of time, so I have to rush back to Delhi.
Right.
My
Right.
first child was born, so I came back to Delhi and joined
Mm-hmm.
back again Simco for a while.
Okay.
And then I
Okay.
moved to Jack Alstom, Indian
Mm-hmm.
office, which was looking for power sector people and my experience like me for the site management and all that. They
Right.
were doing a lot of jobs in automobile industry because Jack Alstom, which is called GC Alstom in India, Jack is
Mm-hmm.
a French company, to a French company.
Okay.
We brought in technology of paint shops in India, and I was
Okay.
responsible for uh, anodic from to cathodic paint shop in India for the first time
Okay.
at
Okay.
LML Kanpur. So we installed
Okay.
that plant there, and I
Mm-hmm.
was responsible for that plant. Then I
Mm-hmm.
also did some erection projects with Maruti in Gujarat,
Right.
where we had
Right.
20 megawatt of steam turbine, gas turbine coming from BHL, and we were responsible for carrying out erection and site activities there.
Right.
I
Right.
moved to the parent company of Jack Alstom, from where the journey moved differently. And I was
Mm-hmm.
responsible for sourcing and marketing of Jack Alstom power plant projects from Europe to across Asia.
Okay. Wow.
So where I got a larger exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And I moved on. I was put into the sourcing division, and they were having a very big projects moving on globally where they wanted to save costs from the European managed suppliers to moving on to Indian suppliers. And then I was
Right.
responsible for qualifying Indian suppliers to the
Mm-hmm.
standards of Jack Alstom.
Right.
And the company was shaping, at that point of time, merger acquisition was very much high
Mm-hmm.
in European companies and American
Okay.
companies. So that was a
Mm-hmm.
phase where the technology was getting transferred to Asia, in India,
Right.
to
Mm-hmm.
Indian suppliers, and the movement was happening there, in terms
Mm-hmm.
of merger and acquisition.
Mm-hmm.
I started looking at turbines, all type of turbines, gas turbines, steam turbines, and all that,
Right.
and
Right.
components and parts, and started developing it in India
Okay.
and Jack Alstom Power. So
Right.
then, they started a merger acquisition with ABB, the Jack Alstom, which has become Alstom because Jack Alstom moved from, they changed names, because
Right.
of
Right.
merger acquisition. It was Jack Alstom when I joined. It becomes GC Alstom, become Alstom, then it become
Also.
Alstom Power. So like that, they changed.
Mm-hmm. Right.
By
Right.
99, they acquired ABB Power Business because ABB
Mm-hmm.
sold the power business, and
Right.
Alstom acquired at a joint venture of 50-50%. And
Mm-hmm.
then Alstom Power was made in India.
Okay. Okay.
So I moved to the Alstom India, Alstom Projects India. At that point of time, they were saying Alstom Projects India, and then I moved to the gas business
Right.
as
Right.
procurement manager, project procurement
Okay.
manager.
Hmm.
I brought in many new capital equipments to India. Moved on
Mm-hmm.
from the technology,
Mm-hmm.
executed projects as project manager for supply side project manager. They call it project
Okay.
procurement manager, and
Okay.
executed a lot of projects there with many
Mm-hmm.
suppliers, close to about 50 plus.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And then I moved to a hydro division of Voith called Voith Siemens.
Okay. Okay.
So I did so by this time, by 2004, I had a good stint in oil and gas, petrochemical,
Petrochemicals.
fertilizer,
Right.
power in terms of gas turbine,
Mm-hmm.
steam turbine, and then I
Right.
moved to hydro.
Right.
So I
Right.
was very responsible for the hydro projects procurement at Voith Siemens.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Germany, understood how they do it. then brought
Mm-hmm.
the technology back to Indian suppliers, selected Indian suppliers, and then moved on. Then over the years of working for last say 18, 17, 18 years, I moved
Right.
on to open up a small group consultancy company wherein I was
Right.
made as a managing director. And
Mm-hmm.
I opened up a sourcing company for the European business. At that point of time,
Right.
global sourcing was at peak.
Mm-hmm.
Every company in Europe wanted to cut the cost and they
Mm-hmm.
wanted to come back to India or China
Right.
to
Right.
create their second sourcing base. So
Right.
I
Right.
become the responsible, and at that point of time, we took a project with the FlackWoods Zurich,
Mm-hmm.
and we did a lot of sourcing for here. A lot of new equipments were designed here. I started an engineering design center where I had
Right.
was doing a lot of engineering activities. I worked on all this 3D softwares. I brought
Okay.
in more than 40 people, hired them, and started working for FlackWoods. And
Right.
FlackWoods took us over, our company, small company
Okay.
globally,
Okay.
and I
Mm-hmm.
was made an Asia Pole director for
Oh, wow.
this complete sourcing activities and project
Right.
activities.
Right.
Along
Right.
with that, I was given responsibility to bring the large axial flow fans in the power sector because India has opened up 600 and 800 megawatt power plant policy at that
Okay.
point of
Okay.
time.
Mm-hmm.
2006, 2007, they started,
Mm-hmm.
NTPC started giving us a lot of big tenders in the market.
Right.
And they
Mm-hmm.
came out with a very large tender, 17 projects of 600 and 800 megawatt. That was a
Wow.
big
Wow.
expansion of power sector in India.
Absolutely. Right.
And
Right.
we started moving in that, and I started bidding for those projects along with my company for my equipment to the EPC contractors.
Mm-hmm.
We did a lot of collaboration with BHEL and other EPC contractors and got a lot of orders from there
Mm-hmm.
for axial flow
Right.
fan. And I got
Right.
my company, FlackWoods Zurich, qualified as an axial flow fan supplier in NTPC
Wow.
and got
Wow.
an order of more than 22 to 25 million euros, maybe
Right.
more than
Right.
that. And I got a certificate from the FlackWoods CEO also that this is a
Wow.
very big job because we brought in a new technology, new equipment to India and got it qualified without having any installed base in India.
Right.
This is
Right.
of our European installed base. We got that qualified and got the orders
Mm.
from 600 megawatt projects from NTPC.
Right. Wow.
Then I moved to, because Flackwood again, merger acquisition was happening. Flackwood was taken
Mm-hmm.
over by Howden in
Okay.
2014.
Okay.
And then I said, okay, now let's move on to the parent company. And Alstom was breaking up between, and they were, going back to GE, the power
Okay.
business, and the light business
Mm-hmm.
was moving on to other companies. So
Okay.
there was an air preheater division of Arvos,
Mm-hmm.
which was in India created. So I
Right.
became a sales director there
There.
of
Okay.
Arvos.
Mm-hmm.
There was start of a company. It was just having no business, direct business. It was just an acquired business of Alstom, which was got transferred to Arvos, and there was no
Right.
business coming in. So
Mm-hmm.
I was there, and I started bringing new business to Arvos. Then
Right.
I again got 660 megawatt Arvos business from Dusan,
Mm-hmm.
Korea, and we had Hardaganj and Obra and Java projects
Right.
close to about 30, 40 million euros. And I brought the
Wow.
company from say zero revenue to
Mm-hmm.
say about 20 million revenue
Revenue.
company.
Wow.
So that's why I moved on and I was made director there on the board. I worked with them for about 7 years, 7.5 years, something like that.
Right.
And this COVID came in. Then
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, it's enough. Let's move on and start my own again.
Own. Mm.
Again. So I created a company, joined hands with people back in again in Europe
Mm-hmm.
with a company called Dynatron.
Okay.
I'm on the with Dynatron now. We are
Okay.
promoting now the new technologies in India and
Mm-hmm.
Asia,
Mm-hmm.
especially green technologies, green
Right.
hydrogen. Also working
Right.
with NPCIL, EPCL for a radiation monitoring system for nuclear power
Okay.
plants, and
Okay.
also working on
Mm-hmm.
infrastructure sector
Wow.
for heavy machinery, construction
Mm-hmm.
machinery for
Right. Right.
German
Right.
machinery. So this is a journey which spans about 36 years, had lot of ups and downs, but gave me a lot of learning how to
Right.
manage businesses, how to
Hmm.
run the business, how to create departments, how to work on, how to recruit
Right.
people, how to recruit succession. So I really went on from all the phases. I also did the design center, engineering design center, and I opened up. A lot of people were given employment here
Right.
on various 3D technologies,
Hmm.
three-dimensional softwares. We work
Hmm.
with Lenses, we work on Unigraphics, SolidWorks, you name a 3D software where I worked for all and
Wow.
created a lot of businesses and drawings. During this
Wow.
phase of FlackFoods, I worked for 40 different nationalities,
Hmm.
traveled to for more than 40 locations of
Right.
FlackFoods, got the businesses transferred from Europe to India
Hmm.
on the design side, created design and engineering requirement here, made drawings here locally, and then sent it back to FlackFoods, and also did the
Right.
sourcing and procurement projects here in India.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So
It's.
more than say 40 plants of NTPC where I've supplied the equipment,
Mhm.
various locations. So with many projects.
It's truly fascinating, Mr. Dheer, and hearing about your journey in your own words really puts into perspective the depth of experience and vision you bring to the table. It's incredible how each milestone, challenge, and decision has shaped not just your career but also the industries that you've worked with.
I also brought in the metro business. The first Delhi metro order
Oh,
was given. Yeah, so we brought in the tunnel metro fans. I took
wow!
orders in metros, this business, which was industry side
Right, right.
infrastructure. So we picked up orders and delivered fans from UK, Flackwood's Colchester.
Okay. Mhm.
Brought the fans on this metro stations in Delhi, second phase and third phase. All
Right,
fans
right.
will be supplied by, and orders was taken by me from Delhi
Mhm.
Metro. So that's how
Right.
the journey has moved on.
Yeah, it's really incredible. It's been great so far.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Mr. Dheer, you worked, as we've talked about it, you worked across 100 plus countries and collaborated with professionals from 40 different nationalities. I'm sure every country, every deal, every boardroom brings a unique challenge, and you must have had to adapt and refine your approach along the way. How has this incredible global exposure shaped your leadership and negotiation style?
See, we have to respect the culture. As a leader, I cannot change culture because
Absolutely.
every culture has got their own values. People come
Right.
with different values and
Right.
different way of approach of taking the job.
Hmm.
We can
Hmm.
professionally ask them and tell them that what is required. Timelines can be
Right.
given, but
Right.
ultimately they will have to come up and do the timelines. So
Absolutely.
this is how I've been working on. I never managed culture. I
Hmm.
only manage professional activities and the jobs
Right.
required.
Right.
And
Right.
this is how I moved from one country to other country and one nationality to other nationality. There were tough times when people have different ways of responding. Yes, but
Right. I'm sure.
you will have to take that into your own style and then, move on. Ultimate goal is to get the job done,
Job done.
not
Absolutely.
not to delay the job. I have
Right.
not seen any job getting delayed or any activities getting delayed.
Right.
Cordial relationship till today with various people to whom we have worked. I have worked. They're all
Wow.
part and parcel of my LinkedIn professional setup on
Right.
LinkedIn, and we keep
Right.
on talking till today. So that's the strength. That's what I have gained.
Right. Right, right, right. And it's incredible, Mr. Dheer, the way you navigated different business cultures of the country, and adapted to diverse negotiation styles. And you, as I said, you build relationship across the world, and it truly speaks of your expertise as a global leader.
Thank you. I have not pushed hard, but I have always stressed the need of doing the job in urgency.
Wow.
So
Right,
that
right,
was a real way of moving ahead with the people,
right.
global people,
Yeah,
especially
and it's been
Europeans and Americans. You need to be very careful because you are from Asia. They have a
Absolutely.
different treatment for the Asian people, but
For the
once you
Asians,
are with friends, then they remain friends with you forever.
forever. Right. It's
That's the
incredible.
difference. Yeah.
So, building a business into a 1.25 billion INR giant and securing over INR 2,500 crores in orders, these aren't just numbers. They are milestones that reflect your years of strategy, resilience, and leadership. But behind every big success, there are challenges that test you. Can you take us into one of your toughest negotiations and what were the hurdles that you came across and how did you navigate them?
So the challenge is when you're going in for a large project where you have large stakeholders, not in within the
Right,
company, but also within the departments, not only the stakeholders, but you have
right,
your colleagues working with you. You need to be very sure that you do not lose the focus. The
absolutely.
focus is to get the project, get the orders
Right,
for the
right,
company.
right,
So
right.
the biggest challenge I faced was a metro project, which I picked up for Delhi
Okay.
Metro.
Mm-hmm.
And there, we had a lot of the competition has been always since we're working in a global company, the competition was always with a
Right,
global company. So you need
right.
to understand that the strategy which global company will go into India for an Indian
Mm-hmm.
project in India and
Right,
bid you
right,
against as a global partner, supplier, or competition. So those kind of the discussions, thought processes you have to take care and also make sure that customer is not annoyed in terms of your reactions and actions, what you
right,
do.
right.
I took those responsibility. The biggest thing which I was given the responsibility was the belief of my management in my leadership, wherein they feel that whatever I'm doing is correct for the company
For the
and for the
company.
business. They
Right,
never
right.
stopped me. They encouraged me to move ahead. There were challenges, when I was going in. There are a lot of issues, you come across during negotiation in terms of the
Absolutely,
commercial
absolutely.
conditions, which are not in line with the management, but you have to get it through with your management as well as with the customer. So we negotiated, made certain what do you call that, strategies to overcome those kind of hurdles,
Right,
then
right.
get into the business. So yes, the large businesses where the values are large, it comes with very large strategies and
Hurdles or challenges that right.
it's a big challenge. Plus, you
Right.
have more than 40, 50 people working, on this kind
Hmm.
of projects where you need to
Absolutely.
take them along.
Right,
So
right, right.
that is a big challenge, and it keeps on having the same challenge. If you do a business in India, first of all, the Europeans and Americans now they have learned how to work with Indian customers. Indian tough
Hmm.
customers are very much demanding. They are very tough
Okay.
and very much demanding
Hmm. Hmm.
as compared to global customers and global
Okay.
European or
Hmm.
American customers.
Hmm.
Plus, we always have attitude of chalta hai, ho jayega, kar
Right,
lenge.
right.
So
The
those kind
laid
of
back attitude that we have.
yeah. So
Right.
laid back attitude is also not is very new to these guys, in Europe and America. So
Okay.
they feel a lot of resistance, in giving you decisions, when you're asking
Right,
them from as a management
right.
sitting out of the country. But slowly and slowly they built up the confidence in my leadership and they allowed me to
Hmm.
do that. So that was a tough part.
Right.
Negotiating European management or American management for the business in India is the toughest part you have to handle. It is more
Right,
tougher than handling a Indian management or
right, right.
Indian company management because their Indian management understand the way the business is done in India. They are tuned to the
Absolutely.
Indian requirement, but the
Absolutely.
global
Right.
people are not tuned to the Indian requirement.
Right,
Still,
right,
they feel a lot of resistance in doing
right.
business in India.
Hmm.
So it's not easy to do a business in India. Getting a business is easy because you get a business based on your name, but when you have to execute it, you have to execute through Indians with the way the
Right,
Indian mindset is, and
right.
that's where the challenge comes.
Okay. Hmm.
That is where the
Right.
big challenge comes. And you
Right.
have to manage that. You have to understand that how do you manage both sides? Your
Hmm.
management sitting out of India and the country management of the customer, how you will
Right.
be able to negotiate and get the job done. That's the biggest challenge. Getting
Wow,
order
wow.
is not a biggest challenge because it's a price. I always say that price is diplomatic and
Mhm.
cost is not. Cost, we know that
Right,
we are going to incur. Suppose I have to buy something, I know what cost it is. But if I have to sell something, I know what selling price could be. I can get
right,
50% margin, I can get 50% margin. So that's
right, right.
problematic. That's not fixed, but cost
Mhm.
is fixed.
Right,
Plus,
right.
I have been advocating for different things, which is very important for everybody to know.
Mhm.
We normally used to refer Philip Kotler as the marketing head, guru of marketing strategies and all that. And he has given it
Right.
4 Ps, which
Okay.
correspond to place, person, product, and price.
Price.
I made my 4 Cs on that, which makes,
Okay.
of course, it's all related to it. I say first is the cost. You should know the cost.
Mhm.
The salesman should know the cost, not the price.
Right,
He should be working on to get a price per differential from the
right,
cost, not from the price to price, because he can give
right,
discount and get the order, but if that discount is not covering your cost, then order is not a value to us.
right, right.
Then he should know the person. I say this, he should know the customer, because person is moved to customer now. It's an entity and identity like a company, which is also behind the customer.
Right,
So you have to know about
right.
the company culture and then move on.
Mhm. Right.
And then you have to be competitive. You should know about your competitors. Not only
Okay.
the
Mhm.
place where you have to sell, you have to know about competitors. So you
Right.
know to whom you are competing and what is your USP of
Absolutely.
selling it.
Absolutely.
And the last one is which is the toughest one, is the C, is to convince customer to place an order onto you based on
Wow.
three,
Right.
three C's. So I'm being
Right.
advocating this 4 C's to all my people who are working with me.
Working with you.
First
Mhm.
is saying that it's not the essential. You should know only price. You should also know about the cost.
Cost.
Cost
True.
is very important because we have to deliver that, and that is
Right.
changing.
Wow. Wow.
Very
Wow.
tough.
It's yeah. It's a fascinating insight, Mr. Dheer, and it's clear that beyond the numbers, it's the strategy, persistence, and the adaptability that drive real
Yes.
success.
So if you are able to understand the customer and his behavior, you are able to win. So that is what
Right.
I'm doing it always.
Wow.
So
So,
this is,
true leadership isn't just about managing business, it's about transforming them. And
yeah.
you've done exactly that by introducing new technologies and strategies that have reshaped entire industries. So, if you look back, any one game changing innovation or strategic shift that you are particularly proud of, maybe something that was not easy to implement at first, but it has created a lasting impact.
I believe that you have to see that it is your team which gives you benefit, which gives you
Right,
your way of style, and it's your
right.
strategy which if the team follows, then
Mm-hmm.
team gets that motivation to move on and
Right,
work in the
right,
same direction as you want to work. So I
right.
always say that we have to trust. First is the trust which you have to get
Mm-hmm.
and create within the team.
Right, right.
Second is you have to empower them.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't empower them, you will not be able to get the business and the true value of your team coming out of it.
Right, right.
So trust and empowerment is where you have to play. It plays a very vital part in
Mm-hmm.
bringing the business out and
Out.
the caliber of that person out as a salesman or as a XYZ discipline where
Right,
where he's
right,
working.
right.
Then you have to give them the enlightenment. You have to always give them, okay, please look at what your competitions are doing it, so that
Mm-hmm.
they are
Mm-hmm.
enlightened to the real fact of the competition
Right.
is what you are selling in your company. That's very important for them to know. If they are not,
Mm-hmm.
then you have to tell them to please spend some time on that.
Right, right.
So that,
Absolutely.
and there has to be a team meeting before they go out. So if you have
Mm-hmm.
all 4 things going on, I think any team can be good team for doing any and bringing anything, in the company.
Right,
That's
right,
how you can move on.
right. And any specific, as I asked, any innovation or strategy that you are particularly proud of, any innovation that you implemented?
This 4 Cs, because people
This
people
four
come,
C's?
all MBA guys will come and tell you 4 Ps. I say,
Four
okay,
piece.
4 Ps are okay. So it's always better to know on 4 Cs because nobody
Right,
works on 4 Cs. They only work
right,
on
right.
bookish knowledge, the practical knowledge is four
Absolutely.
Cs.
Right, right,
So one has to
right.
always look for 4 Cs. And I have
Mm-hmm.
also started looking at inside within the company.
Okay. Mm.
So there is a Six Sigma technique called SIPOC, supplier,
Yes.
SIPOC.
Input
So
process.
always,
Yes.
yeah, input, process, output, customer. So I'll always
Customer.
say that every department is a customer to other department, and every
Absolutely.
person is a customer to other person. So you have to follow
Absolutely.
that within the company and outside the company, so that
Outside as well.
to get the business. So these two things
Right.
I have always advocated. Four C's in
Mm.
SIPOC, and discipline is very important,
Discipline.
and
Right.
trust.
Right.
If you do not have trust, the team will not have
Trans
trust on you.
Right, right. And it's really inspiring, it is not only about introducing something new, but also having a vision to see what's possible and, the resilience to make it happen, which with your strategies, with the way you lead, it has been possible.
Yeah, and leadership is basically working towards the strategy to get the business, but not towards how to get the business.
Right,
How
right,
to get the business starts with the team. Team
right,
has to
right.
start looking at each and every aspect, what is required to be given to the customer to meet the customer
Mm-hmm.
requirement, and then come up and build up. So this is
Right.
what's the teamwork. Any business, any success cannot be achieved without team support.
Without team. Right. And to make them, feel included as a part of the organizational goal. That
Yes,
is important.
yes. And of
Right.
course, if you are in a position to develop every person metrics which
Hmm.
you want him to do, so if you
Right.
can give them that, that makes more easier for you to work on with them. That
Right.
builds up the
Right.
trust. So KRAs and KRIs, what we call it in uh, in our system, they really help to build the trust between the leader and the teamwork.
Team. Right. So, Mr. Dheer, with a career as accomplished as yours, leading billion-dollar businesses, driving innovation, and shaping industries, it is clear that your impact has been profound. But great leaders are always looking ahead. So, as you reflect on your journey and the legacy that you've built, what's next for you? Do you see yourself taking on more strategic leadership roles? What is it that you have yourself for
I
yourself in the
always
future?
believe that whatever you have learned over the years, transferring it back to the industry through people, making them to learn and making them to come up the way they would like to come up in their own life is always
Right.
better. So now I'm in a phase where I want to give it back to the society what I have learned. I
Wow.
lived hard, it's too much that yes, it's a fact. I worked more than my traveling was very high. My family supported me, especially my wife. And
Mm-hmm.
kids were, growing up, and I was traveling quite a lot, maybe about 30 to
Right.
45
Huh.
weeks in a year. I travel for more than 30 years like that. So
Right.
I don't mind stretching myself towards the
Mm-hmm.
goal, meeting the stakeholders' values, whatever I have committed for. And then I don't mind even bringing that, up to the way it has to be required, in a fashion it has to
Right.
be required. And whatever
Right.
is required, I try to do and achieve that. So my next goal is now to transfer whatever I've learned and make sure that people come up faster. In India,
Right.
what I have learned is project management,
Mm-hmm.
right from the day one to day, not day one, I can say that right from the highest leadership in the country till the lowest level, we
Right.
are lacking about the project management and execution. That's the reason
Okay.
we have got a lot of delays. So
Right.
we need to make sure that people understand the value of doing the things on time. And that is
Right.
what I want to transfer back to the generations coming up, not taking up the
Wow.
load.
Wow. That's really inspiring, Mr. Dheer. And it's clear that even with all that you've achieved, your vision remains just as ambitious. And it's really great that you want to give back whatever you've learned, whatever you've, learned through the journey. So it's really inspiring.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. It makes really sense, to do that.
Absolutely. And we need more leaders like yourself
Thank
who
you.
think like that. So, being at a table where policies are shaped, like with organizations like FICCI and CII, it gives you a unique vantage point on how industries evolve and adapt. And you've not just witnessed corporate governance framework take shape, but also actively contributed to discussions that influence businesses at the highest level. How has being part of these uh, influential industry bodies shaped your perspective on governance?
What happened is, when I was doing this leadership roles from 2004 onwards, when I moved
Mm-hmm.
on to going to CFICs and PH Chamber of Commerce and CII meetings, I
Right,
started first. I started learning as an observer what they are transpiring it
right,
during the point
right,
of time, and India was changing at what that point. India had opened up its uh, its industrial sector by
mm-hmm.
1991 by announcing
Okay,
many reforms, structural reforms.
right, right,
It was clear that India wants to move ahead, and India was growing at a very high pace at that point of time. The GDP growth was close to about 8% plus, moving
okay,
in that
wow,
direction. And a lot
mm-hmm.
of new projects was coming in. So that means India was changing their industrial setup, and
Mm-hmm.
remaining in one company under the one umbrella of the equipment what you're supplying. You were not able to know what others are doing it. That was
Absolutely.
my main goal, to understand, with other industry colleagues,
Mm-hmm.
how they are managing their businesses, how they're moving,
Right, right,
what directions are required for us to change, and what
mm-hmm.
kind of direction I have to take, within my company when I was,
Right,
moving in that direction. It just helped me a lot. I listened to the disclosures, what they were doing it in discussions, in seminars. I understood
right,
them.
right,
Then slowly and slowly, I started participating with them, because after making friendship, I moved on in that direction. And then
right,
I'm moving towards knowing the people, how the policies are framed, how things are framed, what are required, what are the
right,
social reforms are required in our businesses, how do we
mm-hmm.
can grow, because India at that point of time was needing more projects were coming in, and
Right, right,
more expansion activities were taking place.
mm-hmm.
During this forum, what you also understand is what is going around, not only in your
Right.
industry,
Minion. Hmm.
other industry also, where you can move
Absolutely.
in. Since we were
Right,
in
right.
capital equipment and we were looking for those. So I saw expansion of metro projects coming in India.
Wow.
During that
Mm-hmm.
phase, 2006 was
Mm-hmm.
it, 2003 we started in Delhi Metro, and 2001 the first Delhi Metro went on trial. So we
Right,
understood, then Calcutta Metro, then Jaipur Metro, then many metros came in.
right, right.
It gave us a lot of, vision to go and touch the projects which government is financing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that was quite a big learning. And still today
Learning.
I do the learning, I am now doing on a hydrogen side to understand what kind of policies Indian government is putting through hydrogen mission,
Right,
clean hydrogen
right.
mission. So I'm working towards that now
Okay,
to bring
okay.
the business, how it can bring it.
Wow, wow, wow.
So it's a
Yeah,
good way to look at what others are doing along the same industry.
right, right.
These
Wow,
forums are
it's
very helpful.
absolutely, and you've given a very valuable perspective as to learn and then probably implement.
Yeah.
It's one thing to follow governance policies, but it's another to actively being involved in
Well,
shaping
you
them.
know what your peers are doing, what your industry
Absolutely.
colleagues are doing. So you sitting
Right,
in the company, you cannot understand that
right,
unless
right.
you have an exposure of that.
So, Mr. Dheer, you recently joined Directors Institute, and I'd love to hear about your experience so far. What stood out to you about the Institute's approach to corporate governance and leadership? And do you see it, helping you achieve your future goals for yourself?
I learned through that social media ads coming in, wherein
Right,
you were publicizing what's happening in India and what is a
right,
requirement of dirt
right,
is needed for companies to appoint independent directors. So I thought, okay,
right.
I have learned so much from the society. Why not to give back? So one way to give
Absolutely,
back is to become an independent director in any other company. So
absolutely.
I was looking for a platform, where I can go and join. I
Right.
only saw that ad and I said, okay, let me join the first, interview. And then
Mhm,
your interviewer, gave us a very good insight what's
mhm,
happening and
mhm.
people are required at Indian corporate governance level.
Right,
So
right,
I said, okay, let's join and start getting training in ESG, and then you see what happens and how it goes on.
right,
So I
right.
just joined it. So I think it's quite good. You have a good curriculum, what I have seen. and you are trying to shape up people and
Right.
bringing them back to the board. So it's a one way of giving it back to the company and the country from
Absolutely.
which we have learned. So it's really a good, nice initiative what you have started, and I hope that you will keep on doing it for long and bring in more people to join Indian corporates and Indian boards, or global corporates and
Right.
global boards,
Global
wherein the
boards.
people can contribute back and give it back to society.
Absolutely. Right.
So
Right.
this was the
That
reason of my joining Directors Institute.
joining. Yeah, and it's wonderful to hear your feedback. And I hope the Directors Institute definitely helps you in achieving what you've desired for yourself. And it's always insightful to hear first-hand experiences from leaders like yourself who, truly value continuous learning and strategic growth and also giving back to the coming generations. So that's really great.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. I look forward to do that always, till I can.
That,
I'm still working 18, 19 hours a day. I still do that.
wow, wow.
I'm
You're
not
truly an
stopping myself.
inspiration, sir.
I'm not stopping myself. I'm still
That's
working.
that's really great. That's great. So with that, we've come to the end of today's episode. Mr. Dheer, this conversation has been nothing short of inspiring. From your incredible journey across industries and global markets to your insights on leadership, governance, and innovation, it is clear that your impact goes far beyond just businesses. It's about shaping the future. And hearing about your experiences, the challenges that you've overcome, the vision that you have for the future has been a masterclass in leadership.
Thank
Your
you.
passion for driving change and your commitment to excellence are truly remarkable. Thank you once again for sharing your time and wisdom with us. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us on FaceTime with Leaders. And to all our audience, stay tuned for more conversations with industry pioneers. Until next time, take care and keep leading with purpose. Thank you.
Thank